Democrats are having serious regrets about forcing former Senator Al Franken of Minnesota out of office. Franken resigned back in 2017 over sexual misconduct allegations after widespread pressure from within his own party. But now, a New Yorker article reveals several Democratic senators wish he never stepped aside. And Franken says he, quote, absolutely regrets, end quote, his decision, while adding, and here I'm quoting again, the idea that anybody who accuses someone of something is always right, that's not the case. That isn't reality, end quote. Now, while some Democrats say they made a mistake, one of Franken's biggest critics, Senator Gillibrand, is doubling down.
Senator Franken wasn't denied anything. It's his decision and his alone whether to wait out his ethics committee hearing, whether to wait for his next election. The decision I made is whether or not to carry his water and stay silent. And to somehow blame me for a man's actions and a man's decision, it's pretty absurd.
Jesse, do you think Franken should have resigned? He didn't have anything in a court of law, no due process. So I'm thinking sometimes, you know, these cases can be subjective because times change, perspective change. And so you now get people who said, yeah, he should get out, saying, I'm not sure.
Well, he was pretty low on the Me Too totem pole. I think everybody agrees with that. But this was in the context of the Democrats wanting to look pure while they were trying to attack Roy Moore. And it was fresh off the heels of the Weinstein situation. So they were going to get killed with whataboutisms if they had stuck behind Al Franken.
At this table?
No, just in the media, But I think the real deal is that Jane Mayer, who did this piece, is not a real journalist. She's an advocate for Democrats. This was a puff piece to rehab his image and his career, and she didn't treat anybody the same way as she would have treated Al Franken. Why doesn't she look at some of the sexual harassment lawsuit settlements in Congress that the taxpayers have to pay for? No, she was a real headache for the Bush administration, slimed CIA agents, let Obama off the hook, and now she's back helping people who hate Trump. This is what happens here with Democrats. They only care about due process for Democrats. Whenever there's an accusation against a Republican, it's conviction. She says she poked holes in the accuser's story. What hole? The accuser said the photo with this was taken December 24th. She says, oh, no, it was taken December 21st.
Whoa!
Whoa, big hole. I mean, I think there were much more holes poked in the Kavanaugh accuser's story than that. But ultimately, the Me Too movement's still strong. I think maybe it's swinging a little back, and it's not as hysterical as it used to be. But men now, I think, are behaving better, and women are reporting things immediately. But I still think, bring back the slap rule. Once a man gets fresh, slap him right in the face. That'll stop him.
All right. So, but Katie, you know, I'm thinking to myself about standards now. Jesse rightly mentioned that Jane Mayer had written a piece about the Kavanaugh hearings. Yeah. And so I'm thinking to myself, what is the standard for elected officials with regard to inappropriate sexual behavior? Because it looks to me like, you know, when the charges are against a Democrat, you don't get away. But if it's against Kavanaugh, yes, get away. Where's the due process?
Well, first of all, we should mention that the Kavanaugh case, the Senate Judiciary Committee came out with a 400-page report after all of the committee hearings were over and he was confirmed, showing that not a single accusation against him panned out and didn't have any kind of evidence. So you ask what the standard is. The standard is evidence, not jumping to conclusions, not necessarily believing women, but taking them seriously, making sure you weigh both sides of the story.
But there was no such thing.
That's a basic thing that you do, especially as a writer who's claiming to be a journalist.
When you look at I'm saying to you that there was no such evidence presented in the Franken case.
There were photos that were presented. Right. There was information that was presented.
She was asleep.
In the Kavanaugh case, there was no information or evidence presented at all outside of accusations from 30 years ago. And in fact, there was lots of evidence to show that they were connected, the accusers, to Democrats who were trying to take down Supreme Court Justice Brett Kavanaugh. So the standard is everybody take a breath. If we want women to actually be taken seriously, you cannot continue to push forward false allegations or jump to conclusions, because it actually hurts people who have real cases against men who are abusers or who are sexual predators.
So you think he should have resigned?
I don't know what he should have done. He definitely didn't get the due process that he should have. And for Kirsten Gillibrand to sit there and say that, you know, I had nothing to do with it, she was one of the first people to call for his resignation.
She was the first senator.
She was leading the charge on it, so she certainly had something to do with the pressure on him.
So, Dagan, Trump's been accused many times. He denies in every case. So all you have to do is deny it, and then the women aren't heard, and You know, is that all you want? Really? Is that fair?
I think that the women have been heard in plenty of forums, quite frankly, Juan. And I will say this about Al Franken. What's the point of this article in the New Yorker? Poor him. He's the victim. Let's think, when you talk about that photo of Leanne Tweeden, she was asleep, and he got away with it in part, and they're making excuses for it now because, oh, he's a comedian. There were 7 other accusers, which are mentioned in the article. And what is the point of this article in the New Yorker? To send the message to Democrats and liberal men of, like, next time we'll go easy on you, but to the Republicans, they will bake, fry, and microwave you until there is nothing left.
Yeah. Well, I think he's president still. No, well, all right.
Say it again, Juan.
I think President Trump is still there. I think he's still there. All right, so Greg, I was thinking about this, and I thought to myself, well, what sanctions are in place? Like, you know, you get someone like that guy, Steve King, with all of his white nationalist rhetoric. Republicans have sanctioned him, stripped him, but they don't make him resign. The Democrats made Franken get out.
They didn't make him do anything.
His party ate him alive in it's the shoot first, ask questions later world of the Me Too movement. He was right there. However, he's not innocent. I mean, I know personally 2 people he did this to. Okay? We talked about it, not just Leanne. We know that, you know, Kathy Lee if Frank Gifford were alive today, he would beat the crap out of Al Franken. So I think everybody knew this about Al Franken, that he used to grab people, kiss people. He bragged about it on Howard Stern. Or he talked about it in the green room, which was then brought up on Howard Stern. And there is visual evidence that Jane Mayer ignored. She used gossip to destroy Kavanaugh, but knows there's actually stories about Al Franken. I wish he had due process. I wish he stuck around. Yeah. I wish he had actually been questioned, and we could have seen where this go. But I think, like a lot of people, he had the progressive pig pass, which is like Bill Clinton, Harvey Weinstein, Epstein. They survive and thrive as long as you support Democrats. They look the other way.
So you're saying you thought he should have had due process before leaving?
Yeah, but I think that he was guilty. But he should have gone through, he should have stuck around, but maybe he knew. Maybe he knew it was going to get ugly.
Well, you can't say that Greg isn't fair.
No.